Hey, Action Shelf listeners, before we jump into the show itself, we want to tell you about how you can get even more action in your life.
Mm.
That appeals to you.
More action. More action. You
More
say,
action,
John.
you say. Yes. If you go over to our Podbean patron page, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. You can listen to Lisman and I watch, what's this? Good action movies.
Good action movies, you say?
That's right. A change of pace. We thought behind the paywall, let's give people something of quality. So
And give us something of quality.
I know it's such a pleasure to do that. So twice a month, you and I will be doing commentary tracks that you can download for good action movies, all kinds of awesome stuff from a lot of our heroes like John Woo, and we've done stuff from the John Wick franchise and Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the guys we never get to talk about on here.
Yeah, so stuff we legitimately love and love to share with you all.
Yeah. So you can listen to that as well as other cool exclusive content from the Punch Up Entertainment Network shows. Once again, the address for that is patron.podbean.com/punchup. And now, into the action.
The Action Show. The Action Show.
Welcome to the Action Shelf. The podcast celebrates the glory of B action movies. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Lisman.
Oh, Lisman, WWE month rolls along. Yeah, brother.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. We're getting it in here. And I will say, we're continuing a whole month here of movies produced by WWE Studios. I have not seen the second two movies we're doing. I don't think we're going to see a better movie this month than this.
I doubt it. We're starting off. I mean, The Marine was fun.
Yeah,
we're starting off with these two films. It's very fun. It's been a very fun month so far, and I know that it gets so much worse after this point. Because
it does, but
it doesn't take that much longer in the WWE film history before they stop getting released in theaters.
Yeah, one of the interesting things for this month is all of the movies we're talking about are theatrical releases from WWE.
Okay.
So we are not going into we've already done some of the straight to video ones, and we will continue to do more.
We have,
I think, but yeah, this week we're talking about 2004's Walking Tall.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, this is pretty good. I mean, like it's rote. It's generic, but it's pretty solid.
It is, yeah.
I had seen this before. I think we both said we remembered kind of liking this, and I left this going, I still kind of like it.
Yeah. It's kind of like what you said before we started recording, but it's like we're actually watching a movie, like a real movie on the podcast.
It is aggressively movie, and I was going to say, like, this might be the best movie we watch all year. I don't know, but like,
we'll see.
We'll see. I hope we can see something better, but it is just like, this is just at all levels. You're going like, well, this is pretty passable. Hey, this is this feels like something. You walk out of this and go like, well, that was something. Everybody in it is pretty good. I do think in comparison to The Marine, it's way better shot. Yes. As crazy as this movie is after The Marine, this movie seems so calm.
Yes. Like it takes time to actually establish relationships,
which is interesting because it's shorter than The Marine. It's only 86 minutes long. It's a short.
The difference is that there's not a slog in the middle of the movie where it's people walking through a swamp for 20 minutes and making the worst jokes you could possibly
I gotta say, this uses its 86 minutes pretty effectively.
Yes.
Like it moves at a nice clip.
And a lot of the movie isn't action. I would say more of the Marine is quote unquote action.
Yes.
Like the inciting incident happens sooner in the Marine, and so there's technically action in a longer period of that movie. But this movie feels more propulsive because it is varying up what's happening in the script from scene to scene. It's not just the same thing over and over
It's more
again.
tonally consistent. There is humor here. A couple beats don't work for me. For the most part, I actually don't think the humor is that bad in this.
Yeah, well, it helps that The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, was immediately like on-screen charismatic.
Oh
Like,
my God.
Immediately.
Because that's the thing about we know Cena gets there, but Cena,
Yes.
some of that is the script though too. Like
Yes, because they didn't give him a chance to shine as an actor.
He's
whereas
playing a real
The Rock
guy
has a
in this.
lot of great moments in this movie.
He does, and I think you've got Knoxville, who's funny.
Yes.
Knoxville's good in this.
So when I saw that Knoxville was going to be the comedic best friend, I got traumatic flashbacks to Simon Says.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, no, not again! Don't do this to me again. But Knoxville was great. He was very funny, but he also like balanced it with like some real heart, which I wasn't expecting at all.
That's the thing, right? Is Knoxville is an actor and Dane Cook isn't? Because I don't know if you've seen any of Reboot on Hulu, which is the show that Knoxville's on right now, and he's great in it. And it's
I have heard good things about
It's a great show. I highly recommend Reboot, but he's really good in it, and there's a lot of drama for him to play in it too. I think Knoxville actually is a good actor, and yeah, Dane Cook I don't think he could have done this part. I don't think he has the skill set for this part, which is really interesting. I also remember him being good in the Arnold movie The Last Stand. Knoxville's also in that. But yeah, across the board, and then making a big difference as well. Neil McDonough, who I love, it plays the bad guy here. I love Neil McDonough. We had Robert Patrick, who's great, but everything in this movie, it's insane. There's some insane stuff in this movie, but everything feels, especially in comparison to the Marine, so plausible, so grounded. Like you're going like, oh, these bad guys feel like they could exist. They're not complete cartoons.
They're not shooting rocket launchers in the middle of downtown.
Well, that's the other thing is
cop cars and helicopters.
The action gets pretty wild, but it never leaves that where you're going like, fire doesn't affect people. You know, I mean, sort of like it's like I said, it speaks to the level of movies we watch on this show that this like total middle of the road. In the words of Blank Check, I think this is completely a Gentleman Six. This movie is textbook Gentleman Six, but that's an action shelf 10.
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't reach the heights of say Code of Silence, but
but it's in that
nothing
realm.
will on this podcast.
No,
honestly.
Code of Silence is really shockingly good.
Yeah,
but it's in that realm. It's in that in that echelon of maybe almost 10 movies we've watched over the course of the show that are like, oh, I would watch this again.
Yes, I would definitely watch it again. It was a lot of fun,
and I think
I didn't look away at any point. I was constantly engaged. Again, these are the lowest metrics you can give a movie.
We're literally going, I paid attention. I followed things.
I felt anything besides apathy.
It's not like I was like really emotionally wrapped up, but I was like, oh, I generally care about all these characters.
Yeah, exactly.
For 86 minutes. I don't know that the 2-hour version of this would have been good, but
God, no.
It would have had to really add a lot. I think a lot of that goes to this director, Kevin Bray, who is a really working professional, mostly TV director, but directs a lot of great shows.
Yeah. I was shocked.
He directs on Succession, which I think is about as good a piece of television as exists right now.
Right, exactly.
You know, and he directed on the Steve Carell's most recent show, The Patient, Loot, which is Maya Rudolph's new show, which is great. He was he directed a bunch of Blackish, The American, Suits, White Collar, lots of stuff. I mean, really, And just before this, he had done a movie called All About the Benjamins, which is a Ice Cube action comedy that I remember being like totally decent, kind of in the same vein. Oh, he directed some Veronica Mars, which is one of my favorite shows ever. So,
Cool.
but like I'm just going like, this is the total opposite of the directing approach to last week's movie, The Marine, where this is not super flashy. There are moments where they get to do stuff, but even the flashier moments are all making sense. And I think actually we'll talk about that the over the head shot sequence where they're busting all the drug dealers. That was legit cool.
It felt, again, that's where I was like, okay, this is a real movie we're watching. This is something that I would have seen on a screen in a theater.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Once again, we're lowering the bar so much, but it is sort of a thing where I'm just going like, dude, like I get the sense this guy put thought into why is the camera here?
Yes. It's not just a static shot of somebody talking. I mean, there are those, but there is some playfulness with the cinematography.
Absolutely.
They're making a meal out of it. They're having fun with the cinematography and the editing.
And like we're saying, he gets good performances out of pretty much everybody here. I don't really think there's anybody that I think is bad in this movie. There are people who are better than others, but I think everybody is base level good in this, which is a real rarity on this show. And then this has a number. This is one of those things where I'm going, there are 4 credited writers on this thing, because there's this is of course a remake of the 1970s. Well, let's say a loose remake of the 1970s movie.
Very loose, yeah.
Very loose, but there are 4 credited screenwriters for this version. David Klass, Channing Gibson, David Levine, and Brian Koppelman, and those last 2 are a duo, and then the other 2.
Okay.
So, but these guys are all industry veterans, you know, and you do get that. It has that polish of like, oh yeah, this is doing the studio stuff. This feels like it's written by guys who know how to write like a studio thriller. And you look at their careers, and they have done that kind of stuff. So, good on you.
How long in the WWE cinematic canon?
This is
how long into it does MGM continue to support these releases? Because the last 2 movies, this one and the last one, is like, oh yeah, right, MGM. That explains the money that's in this.
Well, so they go to Fox eventually, which is, I think, they'll bounce around a little bit because they made the Scorpion King with Universal because that was connected to Universal's Mummy franchise, obviously, right?
Yes.
And then you've got this and the Marine, which come out in 2004. This is 2004. Marine was 2006. Next week's movie will be over at Lionsgate, which is and that will be, let's see. Yeah, that'll be kind of the last before they end up at Fox. And then Fox will take them into straight to video stuff eventually.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's a weird little period here because it's 2002 is the first. That's the first movie made as WWE films. And then it's from 2002 to 2009 is when the first straight to video. Well, no, sorry. 2008 is when the first straight to video comes in, but after 2009 it's all straight to video.
Okay, gotcha.
So, right up until they did sneak back into theaters with a movie called Fighting with My Family that I actually highly recommend, which is a movie about a wrestling family. It's based on a memoir. It's based on a true story about a family of wrestlers that actually Stephen Merchant wrote and directed.
Oh, cool.
And Florence Pugh and Nick Frost and Vince Vaughn are in it. It's actually a good movie.
What?
But it's about it's set in the world of the WWE. So I think it's sort of a thing where they had to get them to back it so they could, and The Rock is in it and produced it. I don't think it's a thing that was like motivated by them.
Right, exactly.
But still,
somebody came to them with the film.
Yeah, and they're like, here's a story revolving around it. Do you want to get involved in this? Because it is like a nice family drama about the world of wrestling. And I do really, there's a lot of interesting stuff about wrestling. I also love Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. And there's a show right now called Heels that is about a family, like small town local wrestling that's really good. So yeah, this is probably the biggest success they have. And I do think, Listman, I think I have the budget here. I do.
Oh, okay.
And I will say this. I want you to guess the budget, and I will give you this one hint. I'm almost certain this is the biggest budget we've ever had for an action shelf movie.
Okay.
Keep in mind, for an action shelf movie.
For an action shelf movie. I'm going to say $20 million.
Oh, wow. 46.
46?
46.
What?
That's gigantic for an action shelf movie.
I couldn't. I was like, I'll guess 25. No, that's too much.
$46 million.
Crazy. That's crazy.
That is
crazy.
crazy.
I mean, the movie does look good. It does look really good.
What it buys you, this movie actually speaks to something. This kind of movie does not exist in the studio system anymore. The like $40 to $50 million action thriller. And those are the movies I grew up loving, so I'm kind of bummed. In some ways, I think maybe that's why I had such a fun time with this, where I'm just going like, oh, here's a movie that isn't really effects-based and is more about people and a little bit more grounded in its action. And I'm going, oh, yeah, because I used to love, particularly I found in the pandemic, I've gone back to the nostalgia comfort of the 90s thriller. So those are like your John Grisham adaptations and stuff like that. And I just go it's such a warm blanket to me of like something that's primarily set in a courtroom or something about a cop hunting a serial killer or something like that. Where you're going like, these just don't fucking exist. Well, they do. They're TV shows now.
They're TV shows. What about old man vengeance movies? You know, like,
those are good too.
That's those are sort of within that price range.
I do feel like today the thing today is Liam Neeson can still get one of those made. Gerard Butler can still get one of those made. I know we're both looking forward to Plane later this year.
Oh, cannot wait. I laughed out loud when I saw the title of that movie.
It is one of those things where it's like, what do we call it? I don't know. Let's just call the script Plane. We'll change it. And it's like, you're putting it out as that?
Somebody was like, can you believe that nobody has ever named a movie Plane before? It's like, yes, we can believe that.
The movie
looks a terrible name.
The movie looks good. The name is terrible.
Yes,
it looks totally fun.
It looks like a high budget action shelf movie, which I mean, obviously has both of us excited. So.
Oh yeah, man. But this movie,
and Cocaine Bear.
Oh God, Cocaine Bear looks amazing. I cannot wait for that movie. One of my most anticipated. If
you have not
movies.
Seen the trailer, do yourself a favor and look it up.
I mean, my only worry about the movie is can it possibly live up to that amazing trailer? Because that is one of the best trailers I've ever seen. And
is this going to be another Watchmen scenario?
The Watchmen trailer is still one of the best things I've ever seen. Set to that Smashing Pumpkins song. Oh God, it's so good. This movie, I do think some of the budget also goes to. I knew every song in this movie. Like I'm like, I recognize every song. That's something we don't normally get on an action shelf movie.
No, normally it's a band. It's either a band you've never heard of, or it's like a studio like group being like, "We'll put something together. What do you need? A rock and roll song? Sure,
yeah. This though, it's like every song. You're like, oh yeah. I mean, this thing opens up with "Midnight Rider" by Greg Allman, and you're like, oh man. So good. And also, this thing opens up and The Rock is on a boat coming to town. I'm going like, ooh, money's on the screen, baby.
Okay, yeah.
Like it starts on a helicopter shot that turns into a shot that comes down onto The Rock. And I'm going like, ooh. I know this is a classic rock song. It's a good opening shot. And also
a classic rock song in a classic rock film.
Hey, there we go. It's interesting also that I'm going like, this is like an early rock vehicle when you're like, oh, he still hasn't gotten it together. I'm like, dude, The Rock not having it together is still pretty fucking good though.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like he was fully formed as an actor, like going into film. It's crazy. there's like little tweaks here and there of his performance that could be heightened, but like he's got the charisma. He's very, very likable, and he has good chemistry with literally everybody in the movie.
He does.
So it's just
you just want to watch it. Like, it's just sort of a thing where I was watching this, just going like, oh, this is what a movie star is. I just want to watch this guy, and that's how I feel about him always. I am always just going like, I think I can say I generally like, at the very least, almost every movie I've seen of his, just because I'm just like, I just like this guy, man. I like watching him. And there is something, I don't know. Yeah, there's a charisma that radiates. The year before this, so this is his sort of second. I mean, Scorpion King is his first like leading role, but then he had done the Rundown before this, which we both really enjoy. Rundown is great. Then this. Then he does something very smart, though. He goes and does a supporting role in Be Cool, which is not a great movie, but he's really good in it. He's still one of the things I remember from that. Doom, the less said about the better, probably.
The movie we saw in theater.
Yeah, far from his fault there, though, or Carl Urban's. I don't think anyone can. Yeah. But then, once again, very smart supporting role in Get Smart. Once again, he was always pretty good about. Oh God, him and Samuel L. Jackson and the other guys is one of the funniest things ever. So I
see he's in the Hannah Montana movie. I can't believe you almost forgot to mention that.
Well, I mean, lots of cameos in this run as well.
Yeah.
Because his performance, he has a really funny cameo in the Rio 911 movie, too.
Yes. Oh, I remember that. That was so good.
I think one of the things...
the other badass team that dies immediately.
Yeah. Because he pulls
so
a pin on a grenade and then drops it and accidentally kicks it and blows up. Like, oh, shit. Oh, hold on.
So good.
It's so good. Oh, God. I think that's another piece of it, too, is he instantly had a sense of humor about himself. He is the total opposite of your Stallones and Schwarzeneggers in their era. Like, I've never gotten the ego off of this guy.
No.
I think that's also a big
Which is why when I heard that there was beef between him and Vin Diesel, I'm like, it's not The Rock.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting though, because people who talk about individually on set, they're both well liked by crews.
Yes,
but they can't stand each other. Like Vin Diesel has an ego on him for sure, but like from what I gather, he's not like an asshole to people. But they just talk about, like, all of a sudden the temperature drops if the two of them are on set. You're just like, man, these guys get along with everybody else except each other. It's just so weird. I just can't imagine being like, yeah, that Dwayne Johnson, I fucking hate that guy. You know, like,
right,
like,
exactly.
How and why? He seems so nice.
You don't have to like all of his movies, but like,
no.
He seems just so genuine. I don't know.
He really does. And the other thing, and it goes a long way for me, is people who like this dude just loves making movies. That's so clear. Mm-hmm. He is doing the thing he loves most in the world, and that shines through. And I think that's the thing here, where we talked about Cena was so hungry for the Marine, but that it wasn't giving him anything. Here's the thing where you're going like, ooh, material is matching the energy he's bringing. Now, there are two straight-to-video sequels to this movie that do not have The Rock, but instead have Kevin Sorbo.
So, you know.
So much, much worse. But we'll have to talk about those someday.
Oh, we will have to,
Walking Tall, The Payback, and Walking Tall, Lone Justice.
Not great titles.
No, and they have a continuity into themselves, but don't really have any connection to this movie beyond sheriff fights bad guys.
That sounds right.
Well, and also I did look.
They're also based on other true stories, I'm imagining.
I think they're all based loosely on a man named Buford Pusser, who is the real character that this is loosely based on, who was a sheriff of a county in Tennessee. And specifically is known for his virtual one-man war on moonshining, prostitution, gambling, and other vices on the Mississippi-Tennessee line. He was the basic structure of this movie is kind of close to what this guy's story was. He was a guy who got into office and was just, I'm not going to take any bribes, and I don't want the mob here anymore. And basically run the mob out of town at the expense of his wife, who was assassinated to get him to stop, unfortunately, which is awful.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, this guy really was like a real life movie action hero. But it was not as focused as this, of course, in reality, right? Like, it was not just like one man versus one other man. It was like a coordinated effort over a series of years to root out organized crime in his area.
Yeah, well, that's basic story crafting. You can't perfectly capture the flow of time.
And also, Buford Pusser is not exactly an action hero name, so here we get Chris Vaughn.
So close. If you say it fast enough, they sound exactly the same.
Chris Vaughn. Yeah,
Chris Vaughn.
You get Chris Vaughn. Here's a question I also have for this period of time and the WWE. What race is this presenting The Rock as? Did you have this same thought as well?
I assumed they were implying he was half white, half black.
That seems to be the thing. And the moment I really clocked it on that is when they go to the casino in the movie and he goes, aren't casinos normally run by Native Americans? I'm like, oh, you mean like you? Oh, wait, you're not supposed to be an indigenous person in this movie, are you? Okay.
Yeah, no.
And it is kind of like, which is one of the things I actually love about recently in his career, how much he has put his own background and lineage and culture into his movies. The end of Hobbs and Shaw is a massive battle on Samoa with traditional Samoan weapons, and it rules. So I mean, that's the thing I do love about that. And he did, of course, Moana was a huge hit for him as doing the voice in that, which he's a delight in. So I do think that, but here it is kind of like, this is early and they're like, indigenous American Samoan. No, you're a darker skinned guy, so we'll just say you're vaguely biracial and not really go into it. We'll cast a white woman as your mother, a light skinned black man as your father, and then a biracial actress as your sister, and just not say anything.
Yes, exactly.
And I did think 2004.
That's early 2000s. Like that's
where they're just like, oh, we don't want to think about the complexity of, because I also think this is probably a time people are like, Samoa? Unfortunately, a lot of American audiences. Now we have, I will actually say, in the last probably 5 years, the huge increase in indigenous actors and filmmakers and the stuff I've watched has radically changed a lot of the shows and movies that I see, particularly in the action genre. We do have guys like Jason Momoa now, or Tamora Morrison, who plays Boba Fett, Taika Waititi, things like that, where you're going like, oh, wow, it's just bringing a whole new side to stuff. It's exciting to see. But here, it's just sort of going like, oh, you're kind of a Vin Diesel. I mean, this is awful, but this is the sort of thing where I'm going like, you're sort of a Vin Diesel shade.
Right.
Yeah, you're going like it's
you're an ambiguous shade. Well, you can play anything.
Like the Fast and the Furious movies, you're going like Vin Diesel and his brother John Cena and their sister Jordana Brewster. People go like, what the fuck is this family? Like, what is the lineage of this family? And there's one line in the most recent movie that talks about just like, oh, the Toretto gene pool's a mess. End of thing. And they're just like, okay, great. Yeah, well, that explains why everyone is a different race in this family.
Thank you so much for that.
But there's no adoption or anything. They're all biologically related to it. Okay, yeah, this doesn't make any fucking sense. But great. So yeah, I did. That was just something I clocked with that one line. I'm like, but that would be something you would care. Okay, never mind. You don't want me to think about that movie. Got it. So we open this movie. Chris Vaughn is out of the... Do they specify anything beyond military?
No.
No, he was in some branch of the military, which is fine. I'll take that over 800 times in a film saying a guy is a Marine.
Holy shit, he's a Marine.
This guy he's been at war.
Yeah. He's been at, he did his tour.
Yeah, this is a movie that does not want us to think about the real world war or anything like that. It almost feels like it's still set in the 70s, where it's like, if you told me he was coming back from Vietnam, I'd be like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. It completely fits that.
Yeah. And he comes back, but the town isn't the same as it used to be. The old mill is closed. And that's all he thought about.
Not the old mill. He was going to get a job there, John.
I do love that thing about, like, what got me through the war? Thinking about working at the mill. What? Okay.
I still remember the oaky pine smell.
This movie has a real love affair with wood.
Oh, yeah. It's got wood for wood.
It's got wood for wood, absolutely. This is a lumber fetishist's dream, man. It is just nothing other than, good old American pine right here.
Where was this movie shot, John?
This movie was made not in America. What? Can you believe it, Listman?
I cannot believe it.
This movie was shot in Squamish, British Columbia.
Yeah.
And it's set in Washington. So now, of course, as I just said, the real story took place in Tennessee. But once again, they're not real. I mean, we can ignore past that. It's not trying to do that at all. And thank God, because I don't need The Rock trying to do a Southern twang.
We don't need The Rock doing a Southern twang. We don't want to see his wife get assassinated,
Right. Once again, if you go back to the original 70s movie, it is still a movie-fied version of it, but it is closer to what the real story was.
Yeah, and that could be really interesting. I've never seen the original.
The original is much more like crime movie. Than an action film. It really is. It's darker, grittier, more more like, this is what happened. Once again, in still a very movie-fied manner. But anyway, although in reality, the guy was a professional wrestler before he was a sheriff, so that's kind of interesting.
Is that true?
Yeah, Buford Pusser was a wrestler before he went into law enforcement.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of maybe why The Rock was interested in this story.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
This is where we meet the crooked original sheriff here, though, because he rolls up on him and he's like, "Hey," I just love the idea of it. "Hey, pal, what are you doing sniffing around that mill?" Now, of course, we will later find out, spoilers for the end of the movie, that the mill is where they're making meth. But it's also one of those things too, when it's like, it's kind of the only place they could be making meth. So The Rock's detective work on that is kind of like,
he didn't get elected sheriff because of his police procedural forte. That's
dude.
For
we
sure.
don't even see him get elected sheriff. I love that one of the best cuts in the history of film is I'm running for sheriff. Cut to he's the sheriff.
And I literally out loud said, "Thank you, movie.
No,
thank you for not showing any
Agreed.
of that."
We're laughing about it, but good call if you're this. Once again, if you're gonna be Dwayne The Rock Johnson WWE movie, I'll assume he won the election in the interim. Get to him with a big piece of wood bashing things. That's what I need. So apparently there was an argument with the studio that wanted it changed to a bat, more specifically a baseball bat, and Dwayne Johnson was like, "No, I want to have the 2x4 like the real guy." And the compromise was that they put a handle on it later in the movie.
Yes, so I think they implied it's, well, I don't know if it's actually the same 2x4, but it is a 2x4 sanded down to look like a bat.
Yeah, that was the compromise.
What?
Yeah.
Why a bit? Like, we've all seen The Warriors. We don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of. I mean, I'm with The Rock on that, where he's going, not only is that the thing and the real thing, but that's more interesting. That's more unique. Yeah,
it's unique.
Yeah. I do see the Kevin Sorbo as a new character, also as a piece of wood on the covers of those. So that seems to be the one runner.
But it's like a wooden sculpture, right? It's like a carving of like a totem pole.
Yeah, that's it exactly. No, I would actually say it's closer to a stick. One might call it a club that he's carrying, the Kevin Sorbo.
Sure.
It's sanded down even more, and it looks like it's got a nice lacquer or something on it. It's a little shinier. He's really worked on it. It almost looks like a table leg, like a.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, maybe he's just like, honey, we don't use this table anymore. Snap! I'm gonna go fight crime now. So yeah, he rolls up. He comes. The sheriff. This is a weird scene where the guy almost pulls a gun on him in a joking manner to get him to drive home. Because I do love immediately. It's like, whoa, are you Chris Vaughn, beloved son of this town?
The only man who is that big. Who came from this town.
It is sort of a thing where you're like, oh, right, that giant who used to live here. Because it does seem like literally he possibly is the only person who has ever left this town based on the fact that every other person he's ever known seems to still live here.
Yes.
So, this guy insists on driving him back. And the second you see this sheriff, if you know nothing about the movie, you're like, well, this guy's gonna fucking suck later in this movie.
Yeah, as soon as he's like, I'm running for sheriff, I'm like, oh, well, of course.
Yeah.
All of this was just him being a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, totally. This is Michael Bowen, who plays Sheriff Stan Watkins.
Does a great job as a shitty sheriff.
He does, and also, he's from Kill Bill, Volume 1. My name is Buck, and I like to fuck.
What?
That's him. So this guy just played a lot of creeps, and he's also in Jackie Brown. He's in 2 Tarantino movies. Oh God. Okay, and he's also in Django. I think is one of the slave guy. He does have a history of playing shitty guys. He plays Uncle Jack, the white supremacist leader on Breaking Bad.
In Breaking Bad,
yeah. So I'm going like, yeah, this guy kind of has a career of playing shitheads and stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's very good at it. So,
he is. This guy, the second he's on screen, you're like, I can't wait to see The Rock punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Because that is kind of what this movie is. I mean, we're complimenting it and all that stuff, but this is also... firmly a divorced dad movie. Oh my
100%.
God. This is so divorced dad power fantasy. And did you catch what beer The Rock pulled out of his cooler? That was an MGD, my friend. I really want to pay attention to that in the next two as well. Is it just every WWE movie is MGD?
It must be, right? I'm sure they had like a 10-year contract.
It has to be something like that. And I bet they were also using it in the wrestling matches, whatever. I'm sure it was in the TV stuff too. But it is just like, hey, I'm gonna have a beer, and it's just like, angle that logo to the camera, Rock. There it is.
Make sure everyone sees it.
Yeah, and this is the era. This is the era when I do remember these bottles when it was MGD, baby.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the Fast and the Furious movies has Corona. Of course, is the thing where it's almost a joke now though in the movies where it is like that beer better be a Corona. Like it's an actual joke that Vin Diesel's character only drinks Corona.
Everybody's like, we could drink it. No.
Yeah.
Not in this family.
You can have any beer you want as long as it's a Corona. Yeah. So he gets home and he reunites with his mom and his dad and his sister and her son, his nephew. Oh, I will say the nephew is one of the things I think the script doesn't do great with. I mean,
you don't think so, John?
I don't, because this is sort of the thing where they're going like, hey, kids are gonna go to this. We should have an anti-drug message in here too. And you're like, yeah, but it's such an after school. This kid messes around with drugs so briefly.
Yes, it's once, and he doesn't even want to do it. It's literally the peer pressure thing,
And I'm going, that either needed to be delved way more into or cut.
Yes,
those are your options. Like you either need to make him a full. Yeah,
is this kid in the Holes movie?
Yes,
isn't he in?
Khaleo Thomas he was also in that, and he was on the TV show Shameless.
Cool.
He does he works around and like that. Seems like he does some video game voice work and stuff like that. Everybody always ends up in video game voice work, which is cool.
There's a lot.
There's
a lot of work.
It does
there,
sort of seem like,
makes
hey,
sense.
what happened to that kid actor? Oh, they're doing video game voice work. Yeah, if you get in
they're
on
making
that,
good money doing that. Great,
Yeah.
awesome.
that's another thing where you're just like, yep, you're totally. People go like, that guy doesn't work anymore. He's like, actually, he has a booming career. You just don't see him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course the nephew is like, you were in the war. You ever smoke anybody? I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Oh,
I've seen this exact scene in like at least 100.
I think that's the other problem I have with him. He's just such a movie kid, and no offense to this actor, who does just as well as he can with this real hackneyed dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, the screenwriter doesn't know how to write children, I think.
And just has no interest in it. They don't devote much time to this character. He's just there.
Do you think it was like a studio note, maybe, that this kid has to be in here?
I do think, once again, because we talked about that last week with the idea of keeping these movies PG-13 as well. They want that like middle school audience who loves WWE on TV to come here. And they go, maybe there should be a character they can relate to.
Yeah.
Although I remember even being a kid and hating these characters like this because I knew that they.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Because we knew that we were being pandered to.
No, it was like even as a kid
and
going
I think
like
most people do.
And this sort of thing where it's like, so then it in the long run you back it up to like, then why do? Who is it for? It just feels like, well, you've got to. It's
for the studios, John. It's for the studio.
But I love studio conceptions where you're going like, no, I think we all agree we don't want that. So I don't know who you think you're putting this in for.
That's for someone. I don't know.
Yeah. And then Johnny, his old pal Johnny Knoxville shows back up and is like, hey, man, it's been a long time. Let me give you my backstory real quick. Shit went bad for me, and I was a crazy drug addict who committed some crimes, but everything's cool now. And like we said, they have a nice chemistry. I would kind of like to see these two pair up again.
Yes, and as well as you can deliver an expositional monologue like this, I think Johnny Knoxville does a pretty good job.
I think he's got a general, once again, a general charisma and likability, and he's funny without trying to. That's the thing with the Dane Cook thing, where you're going like, I am watching this man in every scene try to be funny. And that is just trouble. I will say.
Well, it felt like Dane Cook was doing like stand-up bits, you know what I mean? Whereas Johnny Knoxville here is not a stand-up comedian. He's just playing the part sometimes in a humorous way, you know.
And he has funny lines, but he's never. Actor does. Yeah, he has funny lines, but he's never like, "Here's my funny line," you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that
he's not doing the head shake and the hand movements.
And that was the other thing last week was a lot of actors giving jokes, but you're like, you guys aren't comedic actors.
No.
I will say something that's banding about for a potential action shelf thing, and I think watching this made me think we definitely need to put it on. There is a Jackie Chan, Johnny Knoxville buddy cop movie.
Ooh, yes, sign me up.
I think we might have to cover that one at some point. So
absolutely,
because this made me go like, I'd watch more Johnny Knoxville stuff. I was never a big Jackass guy, but I do like him.
Yes, exactly.
Same
here.
Yeah. He shows up, and I just keep writing, surly nephew is disrespectful. But he goes, how about we go play football with the boys like we used to? Now, this is where I'm really going, oh, here's some divorced dad vibes where it's like, it's just me and the boys out there playing some football.
Just like the good old days.
And The Rock was a college football star. And before
he looks like it.
Yeah, before he badly hurt his knee, which cost him a pro career.
That's interesting. How different our world would be had he not injured that knee.
Right, had he become an NFL star. I wonder if he still would have found his way into acting, but more via the Boz route.
Exactly, yeah. But there's something, because wrestling is so inherently performative, perhaps that was instrumental in him figuring out like a stage and screen presence.
He also came from a wrestling family. His father was a professional wrestler and things like that. You can see all of this in the NBC sitcom Young Rock. which I have watched some of, and it's fun. But I am going I'm learning a lot about The Rock. So they go, and we get the this is also
why didn't they call the show The Pebble instead of The Rock, you know?
Yeah, that would have been pretty good.
They really dropped the ball.
Really
there,
blew
guys.
that, man. I know they're going to like season 4, but they need our help.
Yeah, they do.
It's so insane to me that there's a sitcom biopic about a guy, like, that's how famous The Rock is, that they're like, we could make a whole show just about this famous guy when he was a kid.
Wasn't that the premise behind Everybody Hates Chris with Chris Rock?
That's true. I don't know if that was one-to-one, like he literally is Chris Rock, or if that was sort of a like autobiographical. This is literally this was my life.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he's in every episode as himself going, I remember a time when I was a kid.
He's putting on shoes, like sitting down.
I'll tell you, I had a few bullies back in my day. It went a little something like this. Yeah.
He walks in on a basketball game and he's just telling it how it is,
So he's hanging out with his good-natured, good-humored friends, but then here come the bad guys.
They're all wearing dark colors and grays and
they're
blacks.
driving,
That's how you know they're evil.
And this is where we meet Neil McDonough playing Jay Hamilton, the richest man in town.
Which, I mean, it's a low bar, but okay.
I do think this is a pretty stock character, but Neil McDonough is a really good actor.
He is. He's somebody you see and you're like, I've seen this person in so many things I can't even remember all the things I've seen him in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's in a lot of stuff. He's got a handful of action shelf movies. We could look at something he's the star of at some point too.
We should, yeah.
Yeah, because he is really good. People would know him as Dum Dum Dugan in the Marvel movies. He's in those. He was on Yellowstone, just sort of some of his recent stuff. In that kind of stuff. But I've always really liked him. He was in Band of Brothers.
Yes.
Really, really solid actor who is exactly the right tone here. It's sort of like he knows exactly what he needs to do in this movie. But he also went to high school with these guys, but was obviously in somewhat. They know each other, but it's like they were on the football team together, because he does say something about you still got that gun for an arm. And then of course,
what position did The Rock play, by the way, when he was in?
I think he was like a defensive end.
Yeah, because that's what I was about to say. The Rock isn't built like a quarterback necessarily.
No. I know he was defense.
And also, this is what our audience comes to the podcast to listen to.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was a linebacker.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. He did play some professional football in Canada, actually.
Yeah, cool.
They have football up there too. It's a little bit
I don't
different.
believe it.
Yeah, who knows what they're doing up there? So of course, immediately you kind of know where the scene is going, where the bad guys are gonna play dirty, because Neil McDonough is the kind of piece of shit that needs to win a park game.
Yeah. with no stakes whatsoever.
No stakes on the line, but will take, my God, these brutal hits that both Knoxville and The Rock take here.
Yeah. And funny enough, The Rock takes a injury straight to the knee.
Right to the knee. From another actor who I like in this movie, and who we've seen before, Kevin Durand, is and he was. Do you remember you remember what movie he was in? That we covered before? Way back on the early days of the show. Real early.
Oh my God. Oh yes. What's that Nicolas Cage movie?
Yeah, Primal. He was the bad guy in Primal.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Kevin
the
Durand.
Third movie we ever watched.
Yeah, that was him. He was in that, and he's a guy who's in a billion movies.
Did he die from the CG monkey or from the CG bird?
I think it was the monkey.
I think it was the monkey, right?
Yeah.
And that was the kill of the movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think you see him get ripped apart by a monkey. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
How could we possibly remember exactly? But I do remember he was kind of fun in it. He was over the top and like, I mean, and here he
got the tone.
Here he is just here for his size and look, right? Where it's just like,
yes.
I am main henchman.
Yes.
But I do love, once again, it is a friendly game in the park. But when they huddle up, Neil McDonough's like, kill him. Crush him. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, man. Who could possibly care?
Yeah. I think you'll be okay. But it's the reverse save the cat.
I was just gonna say there needs to be a term for reverse save the cat. If it is kill the cat, maybe, or something like that. Where this is exactly that moment where you're like, oh, I don't like this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's like, hey, no hard feelings about that. How about you guys come to my casino tonight? And you also know he's a bad guy because he owns a casino, which is total action movie code for mobster, right?
Exactly. Yeah. He's a white man who owns a casino. Nothing good is going to come from that.
There is... I do like that when they pull into the parking lot here and he goes, I thought only Native Americans owned casinos. They go like, oh, actually, he made a point that he was 1/16th Cherokee. So you're like, oh, I hate him even more now. Like,
right, exactly, yeah.
And also, and I think don't they say something about he also greased some palms?
What was that?
They also say he greased some palms too, where it's like, I think he did pay some people off for the gambling license.
Yes, he very, very obviously did that. Yes.
I mean, I'm on board for a movie with an evil rich white man.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
That reads.
Yeah, it tracks.
Yeah,
but this isn't just a casino, John.
Oh,
it's a multifaceted entertainment center.
This is some sort of weird, sexy Chuck E. Cheese for adults.
So as soon as I saw the exterior of this building, I'm like, there are strip clubs in Portland that look nicer than this place.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this place looks seedy as fuck.
It is.
It looks gross.
They might. What is it called? Like the Lucky Cherry or something like that? Cherry.
Something.
The cherry
like
bomb.
That, yeah.
Something. Cherry's in the title. I feel like.
Boy.
I literally just watched this like an hour ago, and I've already forgotten what it was called.
Yeah, I have the excuse of watching it last night. So.
Yeah, let's see if it says here in the thing. But yeah, it whatever. It's bad news. But he's also Neil McDonough keeps basically going like, and also, you can fuck these girls if you want. Like, he constantly is bringing up, and trust me, female companionship is no issue whatsoever.
Wink! Yeah. How many times do you have to bring it up in a conversation before the other person has to just politely decline? And it has to just be like, please stop mentioning that. I am not interested.
Strip clubs are one thing, but something that screams CD to me is the booth where the sheet raise. That's a whole other level of like, now we're actively pitching the voyeurism of it and stuff.
Yes, and again, John, I'm fairly certain you have not been to a strip club.
No,
I have not.
No, we're not. We are not those guys. Thing? This is a thing, but that I know from other like crime movies.
From other movies,
yeah. There's a scene in the Boondock Saints where they kill a guy in one of these.
Right.
The thing opens up, but this is more like, this would be like in a porn shop. It wouldn't. This is like back alley shit. This is not reputable,
exactly.
And it certainly wouldn't be in anything positing itself as the big entertainment place. And then. Can we talk about wet t-shirt whack-a-mole or what is that? It's not whack-a-mole. It's whatever like the bell ringing thing at the carnival is.
Yeah.
What
They have to keep hitting
the
thing to raise the platform.
This is total divorced dad shit where it's like, oh God, I wish a place like this existed.
Both, I wish it existed, but also I wish I was The Rock, who's better than it. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's it exactly. Because The Rock even, well, we have to talk about the fact that the peep show thing he's in, it's his ex-girlfriend who's the stripper. What are the fucking odds of that?
She very apparently did not move out of this small town in Washington.
And things are going very, because there's this thing kind of like Santa with Muscles, where there's this whole running thing throughout the movie that Neil McDonough has shut down all other business. Like all the town has is this casino. It seems like
it's the only moneymaker apparently.
And you're just
John, I'm not an economist, but I'm pretty sure a town can't just, unless the entire town is employed by the strip club / casino.
Right.
I don't think that could work. I don't think
this is like when Springfield opened the Monty Burns Casino, and it's just like, and Homer's dealing blackjack. It's just, but it is sort of going like, no, because later there's the scene where they go to the hardware store and it's closed. He's like, what happened? And that's when he asks her why she's stripping in the club, she's just like, there's literally no other work. I have to do this. You're just like, this is insane.
That doesn't make any sense.
We keep seeing this because this was kind of Malone as well. Cliff Robertson had bought up that town. What is this? Mm-hmm. That at least,
I don't know.
He was purposely trying to make that town abandoned. Here, though, it's just like, yes, all things. And also, casinos do make money, but they are purely adult entertainment, which really seems limiting in business to especially to a small town where there are like families around. I don't know. It's so weird. But this is what is this actress's name? Ashley Scott, who had a little run here in the mid 2000s. Mm-hmm. She's in a movie we love, Listman, Strange Wilderness.
Strange Wilderness.
The Steve Zahn Bigfoot movie.
Right. Right. Oh, how could I forget, John?
That was a high school. Well, no, actually not high school. I see it came out in 2008, so I guess early college favorite of ours. We loved this movie with Steve Zahn and Justin Long and Jonah Hill. But she was, in one of those wacky comedies, she was unfortunately, the hot girl in it. And she's kind of the hot girl here. I do think actually. You're right. She has some chemistry with The Rock, though, that does actually make their scenes better than just being... I think it's the same thing as last week, too, where, the WWE just wants these blank hotties, but they're actually good enough, and the actors, the leading men, are good enough, that there's actually a little bit more going on, accidentally, though. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The direction... the WWE had nothing to do. These people just happen to be very talented.
And I will just say, listen, let's get used to her because I think she's also the lead. She's the female lead in another movie we're doing this month.
Oh,
the WWE will use her again. And I will say, if you look at what she's doing now, she did do a voice in Last of Us Part 2, speaking of video game voices, which is cool. But she does a lot of Lifetime. With great titles like Fatal Defense, One Small Indiscretion, A Woman Deceived, Secret Obsession. She did get a cameo of some sort in the second Jumanji movie, though, so The Rock is keeping her employed, which is good. I like that. Oh, my God. She's in her most recent movie was a movie that came out last year called Deadly Cheer Mom. I don't know. They're thrillers. We could maybe make an argument to do one of those Lifetime movies. I have always wanted to see Stalked by My Doctor, which has Eric Roberts as the creepy obsessed doctor.
I mean, there's our bridge right there.
We've got
it. That's all we need.
We have to do an Eric Roberts month at some point, and we could do that in there. We could probably sneak that
John,
into an Eric
there's
Roberts.
A chance we might do it on accident.
That's the thing. It's it's kind of like this where I'm going oh shit, you're also John Cena's wife in 12 Rounds. Interesting. Yeah. I think she's totally fine in this though. She was on a TV show called Birds of Prey, which is a DC comic show. She played the Huntress on there. I actually kind of liked her in this, which is it's sort of a bummer. I'm going, it's once again, it sort of speaks to Hollywood that she's pretty good, but it's sort of like, oh, what are you? You're over 30 now? Yeah, you go to cable movies.
Yeah.
Did you spot the other woman in this movie whose screen debut this is?
I did. Yeah. I did in the car. In the car.
In Neil McDonough's car.
Yeah. Yes.
This is the screen debut. Smulders. Yeah, her very first on-screen appearance. Kobe Smulders is.
Did you see?
Hot girl next to bad guy. No, what is she credited as?
Oh, it's worse than hot girl next to bad guy.
Let me see here.
I was just looking at it.
Oh, here you go. Oh my God, exotic beauty.
Yes.
Number one. Okay, but also exotic beauty.
Isn't she Canadian?
Yeah, she's Canadian. She's very attractive,
but she's in Canada.
She's a beautiful woman, but she's very, very white. Like, she's like
white.
a pretty white-skinned, dark-haired woman. What's exotic about her?
I mean, I guess. It depends on who you ask, right?
Yeah, I guess in a WWE movie where all hot women have to be blonde, a brunette is super exotic for them.
It's very exotic.
Because I will say, Ashley Scott and last week's actress Kelly Carlson are very similar in their looks.
Yes.
There's a WWE type.
Yeah, similar body type, similar hair. Like the way that the hair is being styled is very similar.
Even facial features are kind of similar. Like they would be up for the same parts. I'm sure they've auditioned against each other many times.
I think they actually just alternate. You know, they have an understanding where they just
you
swap,
take this one,
role.
I'll take that one. You be The Rock's girlfriend, I'll be John Cena's wife.
Right, exactly.
And this is a movie where, once again, I think their chemistry is good enough that the fact that their entire romance plays out over 4 scenes in this movie.
It's pretty flimsy.
Yeah, you could excise all of this and the movie would be unchanged. She never really has anything to do with the plot.
No. Yeah, the relationship takes place over 4 scenes. One scene is the strip club scene, which we just mentioned.
Because
then the final one is the sex scene.
Well, that is sort of the thing. In half of the scene she's in, she's wearing just a bra.
It just makes me feel
it's so similar to when John Cena comes back to his wife in the Marine and she's in her bra. Yeah. And it is just kind of like, and I've seen enough clips from the WWE to know there's lots of women in lingerie around. It is just sort of like, check the boxes, fellas.
Right, exactly. Divorced dads are looking out for it, you know.
They're divorced dads, but I like that even in the movies they keep to like the network TV where it's like, it's a woman in like a nice bra. We're not going to be sleazy enough to put nudity. This is a strip club where no one's naked, you know, that kind of thing. You're like, oh, interesting. Okay, movie. Okay. It's that WWE conservative sexiness. And that's fine. I'm not sitting here going, where are the tits? But it is just kind of like, for the movie is about sleaze. Like the bad guys are supposed to be sleaze bags. And they're even the crystal meth is not really shown. It's all just kind of like drugs are over there. You know what I mean? Like the movie.
Yeah.
The thing that I which I still enjoy this movie, but I do think the thing that keeps it from that is like it never really wants to be like a crime movie.
No.
This is not getting into like this is what it is. And it's also this is something I was thinking about as I was watching. Is I'm going like, I guess this is kind of like a pro cop movie, but it's also kind of not.
Kind of not. I would say in the same way that Code of Silence was. You know? So many police officers are portrayed as being corrupt in this film.
Right. It's. I mean, because it is like he comes in. I do like the scene when he's elected sheriff and he's like, "Yeah, I literally fire the." So we're to believe that this town is patrolled only by The Rock and Johnny Knoxville at a certain point.
So that's what I was wondering. Since they are the only police officers, when they spent literally hours taking apart this guy's truck later on in the movie,
like
I'm just wondering
crime
was happening. Right, exactly.
Yeah. It is true.
Like, how long are they doing
this?
The
thing I was surprised by is where were the other football buddies? I thought he was going to get all of those guys to be his deputies.
Right, yes, I also assumed that. But they didn't get paid enough money to be in the movie that much. So...
No, it is kind of just like, it's just you and Johnny Knoxville, because he's like, you're the only person I can trust. And also, because you were once a drug addict, you know about drugs, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yes, it was very funny TV script or movie script.
It's
like drugs.
So they're walking around this casino.
Yes.
And Neil McDonough is confident. Drinks are on me. I'll give you a line of credit. I'll get you laid. And then, I'm sorry, he leaves this scene going, I have some business to attend to. There are 2 women in his office. He's like, I got to go have a 3-way.
I believe that is what was implied, yes.
Yeah. But I think Knoxville has, there are like 4 vague one-liners in this movie. But Knoxville has one here that I think is legitimately funny. He goes, this place is nothing but fake boobs and real assholes. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. But so here's where the trouble starts. The Rock sees he specific because this is Canada and I watch a lot of TV that's shot up in Canada. I recognize actors from like science fiction shows that shoot in Canada. This dealer is the chief engineer from Battlestar Galactica.
He's
Aaron Douglas is this actor's name. Yeah, Chief Terrell.
Man, Terrell's really hit a hard rough patch, you know.
Yeah, that's rough. Let's see. Yeah, it's this same year actually the Galactica premiered, so good for him, man.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but he sees The Rock sees this dealer at the craps table swap out loaded dice. Now here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Casinos, the odds so heavily favor the house. They don't really need to cheat like this.
No.
That's why I thought this was, and it's so blatant what they're doing. Like The Rock spots it, but like anyone would have spotted what he just did.
Yes. But I don't know if they're necessarily demonizing casinos in general.
No, but I'm just talking about,
they are
like,
saying this.
What I'm saying is it's an unnecessarily risky crime for a guy who's also running a drug empire. Like, why also rig your casinos?
Maybe it's because the entire police force is paid off.
Well, this is also one of those things where it's like, because we have to talk about it, the show, I'll bring it up. I would just ignore this as a movie viewer, but I am going like, he's committing a lot of federal crimes. So even if the whole police force was in on it, the FBI, the DEA, the Gaming Commission, like, he would have a lot of people on his ass. Dwayne Johnson could rain hell upon this guy. The local police, but they do make it seem like, well, he bought the sheriff, so he's untouchable.
Yeah. There's no higher power that can take him out.
Because in the real situation, the real Buford Pusser, this was like the 1960s backwoods Tennessee. You weren't getting anything back then. He really did have to do it on his own. But I am going like, this guy, the amount of crystal meth he's making and dealing, holy shit, the DEA would be all over this guy.
Oh, yeah. But yes, it is brazen. It is so obviously corrupt.
Yeah, it is crazy. And this whole, one of the things I do like about this movie is this whole movie has the vibe of a Western, right? Like, it's a modern day Western, the sheriff versus the crime boss in the town. But this escalates so fucking fast. He's questioning this dealer, and all of a sudden, these security goons come out of nowhere. And they are just throwing down with The Rock. And at one point, did you love when The Rock took a taser and just kept standing?
He grabbed it and pulled it away from him. Yeah.
It's just like,
he's literally getting tased in his neck, and he's like,
it's gonna take a lot more than that to bring down The Rock. Now let me crack another brew dog while I watch the Rock. Because once again, the guy at home's going, ain't nobody tases The Rock.
Oh, they're going to get it.
Oh, he's going to get it. I will say the fights are pretty decent here. The Rock, like, launching guys into stuff. I mean, it is very WWE in terms of the moves and stuff. Like, there's a lot of flipping guys into tables. But it's all very fun.
It's very fun, and it's obvious The Rock is doing a lot of
Yes,
too,
which is really nice when you have an actor. Once again, let's soak this movie in, listening, because I think it's going to be a while before we get anything this close to this good again on the show.
God,
Video game month is next month, so Jesus Christ.
No, John.
Yeah.
John.
WWE month is the good month this year. So, so he eventually does get knocked out, and then for no reason at all, one of these guys is a sadistic madman. Kevin Durant's character.
Kevin Durant, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is fully carving. It looked like he was going to remove an organ from The Rock.
It did. Because of the PG-13, we never really see what he did to him. But the implication... Well,
we see the scars in the courtroom.
But it does seem like he's really... But he's doing it with a box cutter, which is so nasty.
Yeah. And then they just abandon him in the road.
Yeah, as the doctor says, they left him for dead.
Yeah.
But even one of the other guys goes like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Like, the boss knows this guy," and it's just like, but they don't follow through with this guy being sadistic, which is kind of a bummer, because he's never again this fucked up in the rest of the movie. But it is like, oh, there's clearly like a psycho on the team.
If anything, he's kind of like a punchline later on when they're destroying his car. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. But it's like, this guy
completely abandoned.
This guy clearly is like also mutilating hookers in his off time, right? Like it just seems like, one of these guys is a serial killer.
Yes.
Because the other
and like maybe there should be ramifications. Like maybe
I thought Neil McDonough was going to kill him.
McDonough, exactly. Yeah, that's
because if this had been a fight, whatever, I think maybe The Rock might have let it go. Although this character, I will say, Chris Vaughn, The Rock is very entertaining, but this is a man with no flaws. He is the most perfect, heroic human being who has ever existed.
Exactly. Yes.
And for 86
not
minutes,
an interesting character.
No, for 86 minutes, and it's The Rock, I'm fine with that. But it is just kind of like, but it is just like, no, this is wrong. Because he goes to the hospital. Do you love Johnny Knoxville stealing another patient's flowers? Nice.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get when we get The Rock coming home and then this recovery montage, I'm like, man, I don't know if you have time for a montage movie. You've only got 86 minutes here.
I know, and that's the thing. Like, you don't see this in other action shelf movies.
Yeah,
the actual somebody having to recover from being like injured. Most of the time, they're like, I got shot in the shoulder. I'm good. I'm walking around just fine.
Cena took a fucking sledgehammer to the ribs last week and just stood up.
Yeah, and he never addressed that injury for the rest of the film.
Nope.
He was totally fine.
No, that he got so beat up, but yeah, they do actually, and they do this montage, which is once again pretty good. It is, it's like it's very fast, but it is kind of like, once again, by action shelf standards, we're going, well, at least you acknowledge that it would be a healing process, and he doesn't just get up and start fighting again.
Yes.
So he's getting back in shape. And then I do love the idea that Neil McDonough shows up and just goes, "Hey man, no hard feelings about that, right?"
This is the most ridiculous part. No, it's not the most ridiculous part of the movie. That's coming up.
But it's pretty funny.
This is hilarious.
That he's just I know, my guy's got a little overzealous. And he's like, but hey man, one of my favorites, he goes, "You went nuts. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. That's insensitive. What is it you soldiers get? PTSD?" Because they're trying to spin it like The Rock just went fucking crazy in this casino.
Yes. Yeah, because that's what like the sheriff was implying while he was in the hospital. It's like, we're looking into it, but, we want to make sure we're checking all of the sources on it,
And he's like, we want to take The Rock's blood alcohol level and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
As if still, like, even still, if you... even if you're super fucking drunk and start a fight, the second someone carves into you with a box cutter, that is on them.
Yes, hard to fake. It's hard to rework that narrative. As soon as a box cutter is being used, like, well, that person's a psychopath. So,
and that's sort of the thing. That's why I thought Neil McDonough was going to kill Kevin Durant or something, because it is like, well, one of these guys is clearly guilty. All the other guys can argue they were acting in self-defense, but one of them fucking went nuts with a box cutter. So maybe that guy needs to be killed. And he is killed later,
or arrested.
He is killed later, but yeah, actually, that might have been a screenwriting note I might have had. Is they serve him up, Kevin Durant. Yes. And then they're like, good enough, and The Rock's like, no, man, not good enough.
Right. I saw so many other crimes that happened that night.
Yeah.
This is very clearly a very bad business for our town,
But also, this is the phone call to the Gaming Commission, and he's in real fucking trouble.
Right.
But no, we're gonna take this to court, baby. I do love. It's crazy how much goes on in this movie in 86 minutes. The fact that he is brutally attacked, heals, then has an entire trial.
And this is all before he becomes sheriff. Yeah. Like
this is like the midpoint of the movie.
Plot.
Yeah, everything we've just described happens halfway through the movie.
Yes.
Because it's about 40 minutes into this 86-minute movie that he becomes sheriff. And
now this scene, John, in the courtroom, I think this is the most insane scene in the movie. Easily,
completely insane, because his lawyer is telling him to take a plea deal and just say, look, they're willing to give you no jail time. What is it? He's going to get 3 months house arrest.
Surveys.
Yeah, and you're like, and some community service. And he's just like, but I'd have to say I'm guilty. And the lawyer's like, dude, this is the best deal I've ever seen in my life.
But the thing is, technically, he is guilty.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's great.
Wait, this is after... Okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So he recovers.
Yeah.
And then his nephew does drugs, right?
No, yes.
Because he goes to the casino and beats the shit out of
Because that's what he actually... Right, sorry. That's what he actually gets arrested for. Because for a second, I got confused just now going, wait, why is he on trial? He was the victim. No, the trial is about what he's going to do. He recovers.
Yes.
His nephew ODs on crystal meth, but he's totally fine.
Mm-hmm. He's totally fine.
Yeah.
He's even fine in the moment when they're putting him in the ambulance. He's like, normally I'm fine, but this is the one perfectly coherent.
Yeah, he's just kind of pale and sweaty is how they portray it. As like,
what do they think ODing means?
Yeah,
like what?
It is like, at the very least, he's coming to the hospital unconscious, right? Like,
right? Yes, exactly.
No, here he's just like, oh, gee, he got the dizzies from the crystal meth, and is like, they put an ice pack and gave me a Gatorade. Now I'm doing all right, man. Yeah, crystal meth really dehydrates you, if you know what I mean. Yeah. It is like, crystal meth is serious shit.
Yeah, and I love the other teens hanging around. They're like, it's true, we forced it on him. Like, why would... That doesn't...
They're both bad kids and not bad at all, which I love.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
And then, of course...
Because, again, this movie has no time to explore any of these things.
No, there is something that I do enjoy about that, where it's just like, we're just going to barrel through this movie. Because then The Rock grabs one of these little punks and goes, where'd you get the drugs? And they're like, at the casino. And then... I've seen in an action movie I always love is when he goes home to the gun cabinet, he's loading a shotgun. His father's like, it ain't worth it, son. You don't need to do this. Please, no, for the love of God, think about what you're doing. I thought this guy, I've seen this guy in other stuff too. His father's a pretty good character actor. John Beasley is this actor. Yeah, that's what I thought. He's in like a lot of the movies I was just talking about, like The Sum of All Fears and The General's Daughter. And, he plays a lot of this, some CSI Miami. If you need a general, a cop, here he's playing a general, a sheriff or whatever. Because did he used to be a cop or something? Because he talks about, like, my gunfighting days are over.
Yes, something like that. Like, I don't think he became definitely didn't become a soldier.
Yeah.
But he has some sort of history with firearms.
Because he does have that scene later, but yeah, he's like, and no, he's like, I'm taking care of this, Dad. And you're like, oh shit, The Rock's gonna go murder. His father is right about like, yeah, maybe a shooting rampage is not what's necessary here.
Yeah, because I was just thinking like, okay, obviously there's some shady stuff happening here,
Mm-hmm.
but we're watching this movie in 2022. I don't want to see a man shoot up a public place.
Yeah.
With a gun.
And instead,
I really don't want to see
he makes the more, I think, morally just and the cooler decision to grab a 2x4, and you're like, oh, it is on till the break of dawn right here, man. And he just
right. I immediately went from being worried to being so excited.
Yeah, and he doesn't even come in here to fuck people up. He comes in here and starts bashing slot machines and things like that.
Yep.
Once again, it's these other guys who start fighting him. And I'm sorry, The Rock in general is intimidating. The Rock holding a big piece of lumber, no paycheck is worth fighting that guy.
No, definitely not. There is the one guy. There was one guy who was left, and The Rock just kind of like flinches at him and makes him run away. One of those things I always love in an action movie. It's
great.
You have to have a henchman left over who's just like, you know what, not worth it. I'm gonna go. Sorry.
He's out of there.
Those are always my favorite bits.
And then the big finisher here is he throws that piece of wood through Neil McDonough's mirrored glass window.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, and this is another one of those action movie beats I love, where it's just like, from now on, it's on between you and me. This is the get out of my town moment. And yeah, this is when he gets arrested. And once again, this is pretty well shot by this guy and directed, because it's like suddenly the sound goes out and he's like he's using the visual language and sound to portray the adrenaline coming down as the cops come to arrest him. And I'm like, hey, this is pretty fucking artsy by WWE standards.
Yeah.
And by that I mean like a totally normal scene in a movie. But I'm just going like, man, like using camera and sound to portray internal feelings. Holy shit, this is another level for them.
Yeah. Again, this is what happens when they bring in directors from outside the WWE to direct their movies.
Yeah, this is a guy who like directs dramas and stuff and understands what he's doing. So yeah, he gets arrested, and then we get the lawyers going like, yeah, this is the sweetest deal anyone's ever been offered. Like, Neil McDonough is still trying to kind of let him slide, even after all this.
Yes. And technically, The Rock did commit a crime here.
He did.
Like, he doesn't want to say that he did it, but he did do it. Like, when it comes down to it, whether or not he's justified, he did commit a crime.
His speech in the court is, I did it, but I'm also not guilty. Which is
and it works.
Oh, because everybody just loves this guy.
Yeah.
Which is in the most insane moment in this movie, one of the most insane moments I've seen in any movie, he fires his lawyer mid-trial, chooses to represent himself, which is one of the single worst ideas anyone will tell you in the legal system. Always.
I've done it 3 times. I can speak personally.
And you've spent a lot of time in jail.
I have. Yeah.
You're doing this
45 years.
Yeah, we're actually looking at a clock right here going like, you only have so much time left on the prison computer to do this episode.
Yes. Yes, and then back to solitary.
Yeah, right back to so they're just like, we need this guy out of culture.
We'll let him do the action movie
that's
podcast,
fine,
but everything else.
But that keeps him quiet. We let him do that once a week, and that seems to calm him down.
He gets a lot less stabby if he gets to do his podcast.
They catch in one of those Hannibal Lecter masks. He can't bite anyone. But
that's me.
He instead he doesn't do what he does isn't lawyering though. He calls no witnesses. Nope. You can't just fucking stand up and start testifying like this. And then in the most insane moment, he turns this entire thing into him going, I'm going to run for sheriff. If you find me not guilty, I will run for sheriff.
Here's the thing, John.
Mm-hmm.
I've never voted for somebody who started their campaign while on trial.
Me neither,
But
man.
if somebody did, I probably would vote.
I mean,
like, honestly.
Well, the thing I love about this is there is not a second that these people consider. Everyone in this courtroom is 1,000,000,000% on board with this. They're like,
in fact,
done.
When the jury announces their verdict, the entire courtroom immediately stands up and like erupts into applause.
And then The Rock walks out of court, which is not how that works. Like, you don't get found not guilty and just go ahead, leave. That's not how that works.
And then he takes the weapon from
yes, and he goes, I believe this is mine.
Like, that's not how that would work at all.
No, he goes over. By the way, I love the idea that the evidence would be on an evidence table for the entire trial. Like, it's still sitting there from testimony days ago.
I believe that's how it worked. Yeah. And in fact, at the end of the OJ trial, OJ did take the glove back. I believe he did.
I believe that is my glove, actually. Now that I get a better look at it. Yeah.
So much.
And then he walks out of the courtroom, and they're all going, Vaughn, 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 Vaughn. And then there's not even a montage or anything. It just dissolves to him putting the police lights on his personal truck, of course, which we established earlier his father had fixed up for him while he was away at war.
Part of me, I wasn't expecting this jump in time, so I'm like, is he setting up a competing sheriff's department? I'm confused.
Listman, we need to write a movie about a guy who sets up a competing sheriff's department, because that would be an amazing...
He hates the current sheriff so much. He's like, you know what?
He just starts his own sheriff's department. That's right.
That actually sounds great.
I kind of love this idea where it's like, they're 911, we're 912, baby. If they don't pick up, we will. I actually do sort of love this idea.
This sounds great. Yeah. We'll start writing it as soon as I get out of jail.
Yeah, that's right. Hope that appeal comes through. Ever since those witnesses mysteriously disappeared.
I mean, things accidents happen all the
time,
time,
I love,
John.
There's not even, what I was expecting is like maybe a cut to a newspaper of Vaughn wins sheriff. Nope. He goes out of this court and just like, the movie just goes, of course he won.
Did you see how well he won that trial? He's obviously going to win the election.
It's so funny that Neil McDonough would be able to come in and take over the sheriff's department this easily when clearly every single citizen is against it.
Well, and that kind of leans in again to whether or not this movie is pro-cop, because everybody seems to be so fed up with this shit.
Yeah.
And only the cops are corruptible, apparently, which is interesting. Well, yeah, it's an interesting take.
It is, well, because the movie is in no way interested in actually getting into, like, the town itself beyond...
Right,
they're just good salt of the earth people, right? Because even his sister, like, they set up that his sister is an EMT, but that doesn't ever really come into play.
Nope. No,
like, didn't you expect that to matter?
Yeah, I was expecting it, yeah.
She's a nothing character. Once again, you could cut her out of the movie entirely and nothing would change.
Her and her son, yeah.
Yeah,
they could be completely removed from the movie.
You could remove the son. I mean, it is so crazy. You can remove the son, remove the mother even. You could take out the girlfriend. There are like 8 characters you could remove that in no way affect the plot.
Yeah. But then the movie would be, I would say, 58 minutes long. Yeah, and that's not a movie.
Yeah, it is just like, no, you're right. There are characters in this movie who are just here to go, he's got to talk to somebody.
Exactly.
I guess a sister, but we don't even get much of a sense of, like, I guess, yeah, I mean, they generally like each other and are somewhat close, but
sure,
you know, she's just there so everyone can be I thought they might set up a thing between her and Knoxville, maybe.
That's what I was assuming,
because when he saves them in the house, I thought maybe that was going to be something. I do like that they let Johnny Knoxville do action in the movie. That I was surprised by. because that's not often.
And
the case
I
for
thought that
comedy
the
characters.
action that he did was believable for Johnny Knoxville to do. But
It was
still pretty well done. Honestly, it was great. It was a nice contrast to The Rock, like being a one-man army. Johnny Knoxville struggling against one guy who was a shock.
So they chant for him. He turns the truck into the thing. He fires all the deputies, and then it's like day one. He goes and pulls over Neil McDonough, who's driving in what can only be described as a douchebag hat.
Yes, he does have his douche driving cap.
Yeah, and did he have gloves on? I can't remember. Did he have driving gloves? It feels like he should.
We're gonna say yes. I don't care about the actual answer to the question.
Yeah, but he's at least giving off the vibe of a man wearing driving gloves, because he's driving a super nice. I don't know if it's a Porsche or something in that vein.
Yeah, and he's driving with an exotic beauty,
an exotic Canadian beauty, who's wearing very 2004 sunglasses, Kobe Smulders.
Yeah. Yes.
Horrible, like blue tinted sunglasses.
Oh yeah.
And he and Neil McDonough still is going like, you can't fucking do anything to me, man. So you might as well just. He's just like, no. I'm just going like, dude, I don't know how you're this confident that the guy you backed was clearly ripped from office by like an overwhelming landslide of votes.
It was the first ever 100% of the town. This guy, like it could not be more of a. It's not a landslide. Yeah. It's just gravity. You know what I mean?
He didn't even vote for himself.
Even he was swayed. He's like Bobby.
One of my favorite things. You didn't vote for yourself, Bobby? Oh no, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. But it's like no sweat to Neil McDonough. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
I just don't.
He's got his douche gloves, you know. He's got his douche hat,
douche gloves, his exotic Canadian beauty. That's right, pal. She's from Canada. Which also in this case, which is like Northern Washington, is like the next town over. And you're in Canada. So he pulls him over, he insults him because he's going like he's like, you weren't even good enough to be a football player, and then whatever, you went to the army, which is lame. And then this I do like the way this ends, where he goes, well, just go get your taillights fixed. And he's like, my taillights? What's wrong with them? And he smashes it. They're broken.
Yeah, I legitimately moment.
Pretty good.
Very satisfying.
And so then, we talk about he asked Knoxville to help him find the drugs in town and be his deputy. Mm-hmm. And this is the scene we were talking about. It's the scene where the whole thing is shot from overhead of them getting out of their car and going through a building. And it's all this thing of them shaking down drug dealers, and they're going out into the alley. Mm-hmm. It's really well done. I was shocked that this was in a WWE movie.
And their conversation talking about how they're going to do it, it's like playing over it. Yeah, you know, it felt almost Scorsese a little bit.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it certainly the ambition to do something like that, which once again, ambition is everything in these movies, because we watch so many things that are made by and star totally checked out people.
Yes, people who have no interest in what they're doing.
And so here's a guy going, here's an opportunity to do something kind of cool. And he does it. And it looks good. I'm going, man, I was watching it going, well done, Walking Tall. That's a nice feeling to have on this show.
Yeah.
So finally they do get to Kevin Durant, and they find drugs on him. And he's like, great, take me in. And this is the thing that's like, and then I'll call my lawyer, scum of the earth, lawyers. Because obviously we never get the sense of who Neil McDonough's lawyer is, but he's obviously so evil.
Oh, so evil. Probably more evil than Neil McDonough, I would say. I think it's the literal devil is his lawyer.
I just want a scene. It's Al Pacino from The Devil's Advocate. It's his law firm. It's his. Yes. One of my favorite things about that totally insane movie is the idea that the devil is actually running a law firm. Like he
Yes.
is like, we got to get this client. But also, I am legitimately Satan. So, but if these quarterly figures don't come up, we got to get more billing hours, gentlemen.
God, that movie is insane.
I rewatched that movie a few months ago, and I actually don't know what my opinion of that movie is, because I think good and bad are out the window on that movie almost.
Yes, you have to set aside the notion of good or bad.
And it is so fucking entertaining.
Yeah,
and it is two total nut jobs in Keanu and Pacino, and both of them are just shouting and sweaty. Keanu's doing a god-awful Kentucky Fried accent. Pacino's at an 11 from minute 1.
Yes. I feel like that movie was a title first. That feels like it was The Devil's Advocate. We know that the devil is in it. Let's assume it's a
Devil's Advocate,
like
is a lawyer. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I love, such a Hollywood thing, that Keanu's plain Jane wife is Charlize Theron. And he's just like, yeah, you could do a lot better than her. Ugh.
Annie? I don't know about that.
I think that's physically possible. Oh, God, that's who you're married to? Uh-oh. Yeah. So they get, and then this is the scene where it's like, no, actually, there could be something more in the car. And we get a montage of Johnny Knoxville and The Rock tearing apart this guy's car. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good. I did want them to cut to the crime that was happening simultaneous to them.
Someone's just robbing a bank down the street. Like,
right, exactly.
Please, but, someone help us.
Where's the police force? We voted for this new sheriff. Where is he?
Hey, Chris, there's a 911 call. Send it to voicemail. I gotta get through this hood. No, we haven't cracked the engine block yet. Yeah, just tell him that we'll get back to him.
And are we led to believe that this is working on this character?
I think so. I don't know, because they still just put him in a cell and he won't talk to them.
Yes, that's true. I guess, yeah.
But now he's afraid that and Johnny Knoxville does a whole megaphone bit where he's yelling at a megaphone through the bars. I'll say that's not Johnny Knoxville's fault. That's a little like, I don't know. How about here's a comedy beat? It's not terrible though.
Yeah.
It's still better than anything in The Marine, which was
honestly
painful.
Him being startled by The Rock sneaking up on him was funnier than the rest of the bit.
Yeah, it's true. That actually is true. Yeah. And so he tells him, he goes, I'm going to stay here with the prisoner. You go and watch over my family. And I do like, at this point in the movie, for Johnny Knoxville to go, do you think these guys would really sink that low? I'm like, yeah, definitively, based on literally everything else they've done in this movie, man.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, you remember when they carved my chest open with a box cutter?
Yeah. They will stop at nothing.
Yeah.
They will stop at absolutely nothing. So he's working overtime at the station, and
he is working overtime.
Workout. I'm shocked that's not in this movie. Me too. Because once again, man, I did not remember, and keep in mind, I finished this an hour before we started recording, and I did not remember that the female lead's name was Denny.
Right. You'd think they're saying Danny throughout the film.
Nope.
But if you have subtitles on, you can see that it is clearly Deni, Denny.
Denny.
Denny. Which is short for Denise, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would hope so. But there is just something that's funny about going, man, Denny is so hot.
I don't know if does anybody go by Denny? Does anybody use that name?
I don't. I think not a woman, maybe a Denny from a Dennis.
Yeah, maybe.
I've never met any, that's for sure. So we don't hang out with a lot of Denny's. Other than, of course,
we hang out at Denny's.
I was going to say, other than the wonderful breakfast establishment.
Of course.
I say that as if that's being facetious. I was in a Denny's like the other week. Although it was a classic example. I'm sure this is how you've ended up in a Denny's too. Pretty late. I guess Denny's is open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what's
in fact, 2 of the 4 times I was arrested were in a Denny's. So.
That's right, man. Weren't you known as the Denny's killer?
I was, yeah, for a little bit.
That's one of the names they gave me.
Yeah, I have many, but yeah, that is one of them.
Yeah. Oh no, the Denny's killer struck again. I was trying to enjoy
He's the Dine and Dasher slasher.
Oh, that's pretty good. I think that's the movie we write after the competing sheriff one. The Dine and Dasher slasher. So yeah, he so Denny, I guess is her name, comes and she's brought him dinner at the station, and also something else. And this,
what are you talking about, John? What else did she bring?
The eyebrow waggled and doing. Yeah. So they yes, they have a sex scene set to a 2004 cover of a song that is very oh my god, it's a very 2004 song. What song is it? Do you remember at all?
No.
I just remember going like, oh, this is interesting, because once again I'd been recognizing the songs. Oh, tell me.
Well, it's mostly classic rock in this.
It is.
So this song was a bit of a weird, out of left field choice, honestly.
Yeah. Let's see. Tell me song. Isn't that a song? Whose song is
Should have
this,
been.
though?
Why didn't they put why didn't they put Prince in this part? You know what I mean? Like, that would have been great. You know what? Have Prince be Denny.
Which Prince song would be in this scene? I feel like I mean, I want to say Raspberry Beret just because I want to say the word, the term Raspberry Beret. But I mean,
maybe Kiss.
Kiss comes to mind. Although for pure comedy, because I do think it'd be fun. I want to do "Let's Go Crazy."
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Let's
that would
go
be
crazy.
No, that's great.
Yeah, it would just.
I think it'd be better than this song.
It would, because it's trying to do this like, and I will say this is interesting because I've had this conversation with other fans of his work. The Rock is a pretty asexual figure in film.
Yes. This did feel weird.
It did feel weird because I'm so used to him, like maybe kissing a woman in a movie. But one of the most common things, The Rock often plays single fathers, where there is it's a running thing in the Fast and the Furious franchise that they just never explain who the mother of his daughter is or what happened there at all.
Well, and I think there's something nice about, it's like, a single father can be enough. You watching at home, single father, you are enough.
Yeah.
You don't need somebody.
But
it's
an interesting thing for being like a major movie star of action stuff. He either is a single father or sometimes he just has a wife, but it's not like hot and heavy.
Because I feel like the Rock Dwayne Johnson actively cultivates his persona of being like, I mean, he kind of is for everybody. He's not. Yeah. He doesn't usually do R-rated, violent reaction movies. He's kind of like a family man.
He definitely is, and I think that's. And I know that's a thing where there's a lot of film snobs who don't like him because of that, because they go like, "Oh, this guy's trying to please everybody," and I'm going, "But dude, I see his movies. It kind of works. Yeah. Like his movies are pretty pleasant."
Yeah,
I said, I have pretty much never left a Rock movie going like, "Well, that wasn't very good." It's always based off like, "Hey, that was pretty fun." Like, dude, he made a movie out of the Jungle Cruise ride at Disneyland, and it's not bad. Like, I'm not going to say it's great, but
it's always very charming.
It's not bad. That's what's the thing, at the very least. And I legitimately love those Jumanji movies. Which is fun because in those he's playing a gamer's avatar, so The Rock is playing an awkward 17-year-old.
Yes.
So even though he looks like The Rock, which is very fun.
Right.
Though Jack Black always steals the show by playing a popular teenage girl in Jack Black's body.
Yeah,
and
we love to see it.
Total commitment to that. So while they're having, I do like Kevin Durant is in a cell outside of his office.
The next room. Yeah.
And The Rock just closes the blinds and goes, "All right, in the words of Prince, let's go crazy." But it is like, so he just heard everything, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then apparently they had sex all night because I love that it's the next morning. She slept in the sheriff's office, and he goes, it's the morning now, and he opens the blinds back up and he goes, "Yeah, he's still there." It's just like,
he's still there, and she's still shirtless for some reason,
and she will remain shirtless through the entirety of this action sequence. Yeah, that is a little like there's a Vince McMahon note.
Yeah.
Because once again, when you talk about that, I think that's some of what I'm reacting to is like, ooh, this feels a little sleazy for a movie starring The Rock.
Right, but it's because it's Vince McMahon, yeah.
It is sort of the thing where it is sort of interesting that as he got away from the WWE and cultivated his own thing, he is more family. He does a lot of stuff with Disney. I mean, it's but there's a reason he is so popular because of that. Your grandma loves The Rock. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, but yeah, we cut. Oh, I do love the cut to Neil McDonough outside of his casino, lighting up a cigarette, all evilly, and then he's like, "It's a go." And I'm like, yeah. And "it's a go" means we're going to blow up The Rock's truck is step number one.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, and I'm a man... Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to make a stupid joke.
Well, I knew that, but... no, I just love... It's classic action shelf movie bad guy behavior too. Move number 2, just spray this building with bullets.
It's satisfying to watch, though.
It really is. Something I'm finding with the action shelf movies in particular, I enjoy seeing buildings and rooms shot up more than people in these movies. Like,
yes.
I love...
People getting shot up can be horrifying, but there's nothing more satisfying. It's like those rage rooms or whatever, where you just go in and shit.
Yeah,
it's there's something satisfying about seeing
bullets
shit blow up,
tear through windows and walls, and then here when he escapes by shooting the floor open. That was pretty awesome. Hold on,
something I believe we've seen a couple of times in the action shelf.
It's pretty great though. But yeah, all of a sudden, old sheriff is back with like a fucking M60 belt-fed machine gun. This is not meant to be handled. This is like a truck-mounted weapon, and he is just blasting away with this thing.
And I would believe The Rock carrying a weapon like this, or somebody of a similar size.
I will
just say, this sheriff, or former sheriff, I should say, I don't necessarily buy him carrying a gun this big.
will say that in one of the Fast and the Furious movies, The Rock uses an even bigger gun than this by hand.
Well, there you go.
So, a gun he tears off of a drone that he shot down. Because, unless it needs to be said again, those are the best movies ever.
Right. And again, they're stealing TV VCR combo.
In movie 1, movie, I think that's movie 7, you have The Rock shooting drones out of the sky and then using the weapons from those drones by hand.
Yes, this all tracks.
This makes sense. In 8, he pushes a torpedo that's coming at him across ice. He just redirects it. He dips out of his car and just pushes it the other direction towards the bad guys. So, once again, the greatest cinematic franchise committed to celluloid. Best movies, man. So they're blasting away, and simultaneously, masked gunmen have entered The Rock's home to get his family.
Yes.
And Johnny Knoxville's going to throw down with one of them in the kitchen here. And this, like we said, is pretty good. It's mostly him on the guy's back being thrown around. And he does finally stab him with a potato peeler. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That's brutal.
It was, yeah. And he and then clocks him with a frying pan.
Yes.
And so these two scenes are intercut. And yeah, the Rock is shooting it out with these guys. I love Kevin Durant in the prison cell. At first he's going like, "Oh, I told you." Then he's like, wait, these bullets are getting pretty close to me, guys.
Yeah, Maggie and I were just like, oh, this guy is so dying in this scene. There's no way he's surviving.
It is kind of like, I think Neil McDonough is like, I'm not saying go there and expressly kill him, but like, don't take any precautions not to.
Yeah. Yes.
And he does. Then at a certain point, he's going, "Please, Sheriff, save me." And The Rock tries to, but just doesn't.
He's like, oh, I can't. It's all the way over there. Oh. Ooh.
But he does.
Sorry.
He does go. The operation is in the old mill.
Right.
He does give up the information.
Oh yeah, he does give up the information, and The Rock does try to save him. That is true.
Yeah, he lets him out of the cell, and then the guy is just shot in the back.
He is. Yes. So The Rock does, because again, he has no flaws.
No, he's a perfect man. Chris Vaughn is a perfect man.
Yes. He's the Vesuvian man. Or no, Vitruvian.
Yeah, Vitruvian man. Yeah, exactly. So he... when the guy comes in and he's shooting up the floor, I also did think, like, I understand it's like a belt-fed machine gun, but it's not unlimited ammo.
Nope. It would have run out of ammo.
Yeah, by the time, but he comes in and he's just, I thought, you know what, he could have dropped the M60 and like pulled out a handgun once he's inside and he's shooting into the floor. But The Rock, I do like that this is a WWE movie, so this woman will not actually kill a villain by any stretch of the imagination, but will instead fire her gun up into the air to distract the villain so The Rock can shoot him.
Yes, much like in The Marine, where the wife in that movie doesn't defeat the female henchman, but
gets a couple of shots
distracts her long enough. Yeah. Because again, it's the WWE. Women can't actually defend themselves.
Oh Lord, no. And Johnny Knoxville is able to shoot the remaining guy, but then the first guy who got stabbed with a potato peeler is still alive. And of course, the father shoots him, because if a guy says, "I don't use guns anymore," he will have to shoot someone with a gun by the end of the movie.
We have all seen Die Hard. It's just the rule.
That's what I'm just going. It's like, well, I'm sorry. We're looking at the book here. That is the rule. So you have to have that happen. But that's the thing we're talking about when we're saying this is better than most action stuff movies. You're going like, it's rote, it's cliched, but it is going like point A to point B of a story. This is that. Right. This is
there is a setup and there is a payoff.
So The Rock goes now to the old mill where he finds the crystal meth factory, and Neil McDonough is just there by himself,
apparently. Yeah,
waiting for him, I guess,
because he's out of henchmen now. I guess
all like, what, he had like 6 guys or 7 guys,
but 6 guys, and also the police force. I suppose.
Right, because he has those guys, but the police force got killed. Because it was the old, I love it's the old police force that just shows up. They're like, well, all right, we don't need to hire new people. We'll just use these guys.
They still need a job, John. You know, they have families to feed. All right.
So best case, had this all worked out, they would have killed The Rock, and then this guy would have been the sheriff again, and they would have just been like,
I think so.
Too bad, deal with it, town.
He fell on that bullet. He fell straight on that bullet.
Like, I understand money can buy power and stuff, but when literally every single member of a town is against you, it does feel like that's pretty hard to rule over it with an iron fist then. Like,
right, and that's also not fully addressing how detrimental money can be for swaying the town,
Yeah.
like the general populace's opinion with like propaganda.
A
and stuff
better
like
movie
that.
that would have needed a longer runtime and been more serious. There would have been
Mm-hmm.
business owners in town who are like, this town was terrible before Neil McDonough came here. He's done good for us, damn it. But instead,
Exactly.
everyone fucking loves The Rock. Like, and the better movie would have actually had the election, and it would have been like close. Instead, it's just like, nope, we've just been waiting for a hero to come along and save us, and now he's done it.
Yes, obviously the more heroic to do is to do the right thing even when everybody else doesn't want you to do it.
Because that's the thing
if
that
you're
got
literally being cheered on by the whole town,
I was gonna say,
it does feel inherently less heroic.
That's kind of the thing that got me, is not necessarily that he's so perfect in his morals, but that he gets almost no pushback from anyone except for
at no
the
point.
6 corrupt guys. Like,
Yes.
and so that further adds to, because even the Denny, when she just talks about, she goes, yeah, because earlier she's going, what choice do I have? I have to strip in his casino. Then later, almost nothing has changed, but she's just like, yeah, I don't do that anymore. I finally quit. And you're like, wait a minute, but earlier you said you had no other option. Okay, all right,
So
movie.
now she's unemployed, I guess.
I feel like also it's like, I want to get with you, Rock. Also, I need a place to live. So
yeah, and can I sell mushrooms out of your apartment? Is that okay?
no,
or out of your family's home?
because he's against drugs.
Oh, right. No, but The Rock is really into psilocybin mushrooms. That's the one thing that he's super into.
What is he into? He's not into that, but he does have like a line of energy drinks, but they're all like supernatural, you know. And I think he's into I think he's got a tequila or a whiskey company too.
That makes sense.
Top
Yeah,
shelf,
I can see that.
highline.
Mhm.
I can't remember. Oh yeah, I think
Is it called On the Rocks?
it should be. They've all got one of those. Ryan Reynolds has got a gin company, and you know.
Yes, I did know about that.
Yeah, they've all got one of those.
Of course.
Anytime Dan Aykroyd plugs his vodka, and he's always talking about, it's the clearest, scientifically engineered, cleanest, best tasting vodka. And he's always like, I've got the receipts. I can show you the numbers that prove this is the best vodka. I'm just like, fuck. I love that Dan Aykroyd would get into the liquor business, but he's still like a fucking nerd about it, you know?
Yeah.
We've run through a unique scientific process that is, you know, you're like, I love it, man. It is like objectively the best vodka.
Yes.
So yeah, gotta love a movie with a trap door. The fact that he has lured The Rock onto a trap door is pretty great.
Classic.
I will say,
Yes.
a little disappointed there wasn't more action involving lumber equipment.
The trapdoor. Oh yes.
Like, because they set up all these blades and stuff. Because The Rock is hanging there above the trapdoor, and then both he and Neil McDonough will go down this chute onto a conveyor belt.
I assumed there'd just be a bunch of spinning blades below the rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, instead they go into this, and they end up outside. I will say, this fight is kind of disappointing. It's interesting. It's the final fight between him and the bad guy, and it's kind of the weakest one in the movie.
Yeah.
It's fine, because Neil McDonough gets an axe, and The Rock has a tree, a big tree branch.
He loves his sticks.
Yeah.
You know, he's every child who goes on a camping trip and finds a good stick.
I can't believe Neil McDonough lives through this movie. I am shocked. Weren't you shocked that he didn't kill him?
Yes. But again, The Rock he's such a good guy.
He is. It's
Chris
just
Vaughn is such a good guy.
But it did seem like what I was waiting for is for him to arrest him, and then he like pulls a secret gun, and Chris Vaughn has to kill him or something like that, you know?
Yes. That's
but I just can't believe this. I believe Chris Vaughn wouldn't kill him. I can't believe this movie didn't kill him.
That's true. Yeah.
So, no,
I'm shocked.
He's arrested.
Set up for a sequel.
The return of what is his name?
Who cares? Something Hamilton.
His name is Jay Hamilton. Walking Tall 2, The Return of Hamilton. People were like, "Oh, was that the name of the bad guy?" It's like
you're talking about the Lin-Manuel Miranda. No?
This time
No?
he's
Okay.
really not throwing away his shot. It's like the one of the Darkman sequels is called Darkman: The Return of Drake, and you're like, oh, I guess that was the bad guy's name in the first movie, wasn't it? Oh, okay. You're just like, oh no, not Drake. It's not like that doesn't have the same impact of the Wrath of Khan, like sort of thing.
Yes, exactly. The Return of Drake is not really.
You're like,
that exciting.
and real quick, remind me again, who was Drake?
No, who was Drake? Other than the.
Yeah. So I do love this. He beats him up. You do get Neil McDonough spitting blood into The Rock's face, which is pretty great.
Classic.
And then he knocks him unconscious and goes to black. And I thought for a second, I'm like, Jesus, is that just the end? But no, we have to cut to they've closed down the casino, which is good, but also based on everything the movie has told me is also the economic ruin of this town.
It was the only source of income available in this town.
Maybe somebody could have bought the casino. Maybe Johnny Knoxville could have been running it fairly.
Well, they also show that the mill is back in operation in the last show.
Which I don't understand.
So it closed for literally no reason.
They basically say he bought the mill and closed it just so it would be closed.
Yes.
But it's like,
well, that is where his drug lab.
Right, but it's just sort of like, I don't understand. Where does Hamilton get his money to do this? He would need.
I don't know.
Yeah, because that's the thing that gets me is like he's making objectively bad business decisions.
Yes, he is, and it never does explain where he gets that money because he is from the small town,
right? But for some reason he's super rich now.
Yeah. And it's completely unexplained.
And then the movie ends with feeling all right. Like, wow. It's just like, well, crime has been ended in this town. And it ends with the camera pulling away as you hear them talk about getting a burger or something.
Something like that, yeah.
All right.
I will say this movie has an ending.
It does have an ending.
Nice.
It's very neatly wrapped up, but it is an ending. Again, as opposed to the Marine, which just stopped. Bar. But compared to
just stops.
Compared to the two movies, this is way better than the Marine.
Yeah. Yes.
But still is, like I said, this is a masterpiece of WWE standards.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, listen, this does have its fans, certainly. So I believe it. I do. Let's see here. This review is not as weird as some, but it's the enthusiasm of it that I really want to focus on. So this review comes to us from IMDb user Conan's wife. I have to imagine that is Conan O'Brien's real wife.
Yeah, Liza Powell.
I think that. I believe that's probably who wrote this. And the review is titled.
That's what I'm envisioning.
The review is titled "Holy crap!" That's all caps exclamation point. I'm not going to take up space critiquing every single thing in this movie. All I'm going to say is, if you don't like people getting beat to all hell with 2x4s and guns blazing and things getting shot up, don't see this movie. I, for one, enjoyed it immensely and will be first in line to purchase it once on DVD! 3 exclamation points. I have watched Dwayne Johnson, parentheses, The Rock's career for about 5 or 6 years now, and I can say 100% that his acting gets better with every film. Johnny Knoxville as a cop, classic! Once again, all caps, 4 exclamation points. He has a good future in movies. The movie as a whole is one kick-ass ride no matter how long it is. It is a massive adrenaline rush from the first punch to the last smile. I hope you enjoy this movie as much as I did. 10 out of 10 stars.
Wow. Wow, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Liza. We really appreciate you writing that review.
I didn't know she was such a fan.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, we fully agree. 100%.
Yeah, man, it's great. Oh, before we do this, do we have a favorite kill in this movie? I enjoy this movie, but were there any actually good kills in it?
Not that I can think of. No, because people just like nobody dies in gruesome ways.
No, because it can't.
They can't really. Yeah, most people just kind of get shot. So yeah, I don't think so. I really don't think there's
no.
movie.
And then I do feel like one-liner was, it's just that one Johnny Knoxville aside.
I think so.
Yeah, because like the taillights, they're broken, or the bad guy when he puts a gun to Johnny Knoxville's head says "Morning, honey," and then before The Rock punches out, Neil McDonough says, "This is my town." So I think the only thing is that Johnny Knoxville line, which once again is, this place is nothing but fake boobs and real assholes. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Now I'm once again bummed that Bruce didn't see this movie, but what I do have is a review of the 1973 Walking Tall from our favorite Amazon.com reviewer, and it's time once again for the winning opinion. So here's Bruce's review of the original 1973 Walking Tall starring Joe Don Baker. Here, his review is titled "A Combination of Beautiful and Horrible." 178.5.1. So there he starts with aspect ratio and sound, right?
That's the beautiful.
That is just the way I like it. But this is a 1973 movie. I like that there was plenty of shooting and punching and kicking. I like the cars from this era. I did guess who Mike was played by. I do appreciate the recommendation and email from Amazon Prime. 5 out of 5 stars.
Wait, why is that in a review? Why is...
I'm just curious. I'm going to it now because I just want to see who. Mike is played by 70s teen idol Leif Garrett. I guess that's
okay. So Bruce knows who Leif Garrett is.
Yeah.
The tapestry is coming together, John. Where the picture is starting to come into focus.
It's not new information that he loves old cars. That's come up before. That's that he loves classic cars, like from that era. But yeah, that's his review of 1973. It's both beautiful and horrible.
Haunting.
Makes you think. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we did speculate and we did say there are sequels to this movie, but Listman, not ones that featured the character of Chris Vaughn. And I gotta say, I need more Chris Vaughn in my life. So let's say we fire up our handy dandy movie title generator and come up with a new adventure for Chris Vaughn and his friends. So this, okay, here we go. This is Walking Tall 2. Good luck here. Hunters of Reality.
Oh, wow.
Seems things might be taking a science fiction turn.
Seems like it, yeah.
Okay, or let me say this, has the drug problem gotten so bad that there's too many people tripping balls, so they no longer know what reality is?
Ooh, or the whole town gets drugged, like simultaneously.
Okay, this is the return of Hamilton. He drugs the town's water supply.
Yes, 100%.
That's what it is.
He does the thing that the cult in Oregon did, or attempted to do. Yeah,
or what the Scarecrow does in Batman Begins. Like he gets everybody super high, and so that leads to, except for of course Dwayne Johnson, who's only drinking bottled water that can be sponsored by whatever company the WWE wants to get involved in.
I don't know if Miller sells bottled water, but if they do, that is what he's drinking.
Whatever parent company of Miller that makes water, they can, Does Anheuser-Busch have a, like...
I mean, their beer's basically water, so yeah, why not?
Well, no, wait, that's what it is. It's not even he's drinking bottled water. He's just drinking MGD, so he doesn't... when it happens, so yeah. So that also means, that means we also have to introduce a scientist character who's making something to counteract the drugs, right?
Definitely.
Because The Rock and this scientist will be the titular hunters of reality.
Yes, of course.
They're looking for the reality and the madness.
And Johnny Knoxville's character is really going to take a dark turn because he's been off drugs for a long time.
And
before this movie.
he's successfully stayed off drugs on his own, but now they've been forced back into his system. My God!
So real dark turn for him.
I think potential Oscar material for him battling the
I think so.
What's inside him.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. Who should play the scientist character?
That's a good question. Well, there's one of two ways. Do we keep Denny as his love interest, or do we make it a hot scientist who we can fall in love with?
Ooh. Let's go with the second option.
Yeah, and in that case, I think in the interim, having learned her lesson, Kobe Smulders has gone to university.
The exotic beauty is back.
Dr. Exotic Beauty. And she now works with the CDC or whatever, or the DOH, right? Or maybe the W. She's with WHO, the World Health Organization.
Yes, there you go.
And she also, because she once dated Hamilton, is also able to help The Rock figure out where he's holed up, and he is should he be back in the mill? I don't know if it's like or if there's some new place.
There's got to be a new location.
It's got to be some kind of spark
at the reservoir, right?
That's where it is. He's holed up in the reservoir.
The
The
final confrontation's on the water tower, right?
Right. Yeah. Because Hamilton will fall to his death in the water, but then in a post-credit scene, we'll see his hand rise up out of the water to set up Walking Tall 3, the return of the return of Hamilton.
Of course, yes, the re-return of Hamilton.
There you go, folks. That's Walking Tall, Hunters of Reality. Look for that in a red box near you. All right, Listman, next week on the show, we're going to switch things up a little bit. We have a new wrestler coming in once again. This is coming to us from, this is now Lionsgate, and this is our first R-rated WWE movie. Things are going to get a little bit grittier next week when we watch The Condemned. Yeah, that's right. This time, brother, we've got Stone Cold Steve Austin as the lead of this picture.
That's right.
And
where did he learn how to fight?
From Fatten. But also returning, we have Manu Bennett, who was the main henchman in the Marine. He's back.
Okay. Great.
We also get, have we had him on the show? We had to have talked about this guy. Not a WWE wrestler, but an Action Shelf favorite. Vinnie Jones is here. That's right.
He has been on the podcast.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I don't remember which movie it was.
But Vinnie Jones is back. A name above title. It's Steve Austin, Vinnie Jones, The Condemned. Here is. Would you like the tagline? This one's pretty good.
Yeah, let's do it.
10 people will fight. 9 people will die. You get to watch The Condemned.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I will say this is a classic Action Shelf setup of a bunch of convicted criminals on an island forced to kill each other. Now, I will say, I want to be, this is upfront warning, and it's only because it's WWE, it's this plot, but this is breaking a Action Shelf rule about runtime. Hour 53. This one pushes almost 2 hours. But it's a movie about an island full of killers starring Steve Austin. I just hope this one.
We got to do it.
It is sort of like we had to do this one, but I'm a little concerned about nearly 2 hours of any WWE movie. So
we've loved these two movies being an hour and a half or less. Right.
So, but here, I'll say this. I'm going to choose to look at this as this is WWE's epic.
They only have the best of the best in this movie. That's why they got Stone Cold.
From Fatten. We're gonna see some of those fighting skills on display again. I will say, just in the promotional art, there is a scene of him dual wielding MP5 machine guns. So
that sounds realistic.
That sounds pretty great. I am curious about this. This is a movie I've always known of but never seen. This once again, this did come out in theaters, which is insane to think a movie with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the lead came out in theaters. But yeah,
that is shocking.
There you go. So we'll talk about that next week on the show. But until then, that's going to do it for this week's episode of The Action Shelf. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Isman.
Till next week, get yourself some action.
The Action Shelf. The Action Shelf.